welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackie and today I'm going to be going through my top 10 books of 2019. I read 100 books this year and my wrap up is either going up soon or is already up for this year, so if you want to go and see that, I'll link it up above when it's eventually out, or if it's already there then I'll put it already there. But yeah, so these are the top 10 books I had out of 100. So these books I really fucking enjoyed. Like, I really enjoyed them. I don't think any of them are below a 4 stars, so that is really good. There are also loads of other books that I could have mentioned on this list, and I had decided to give some honourable mentions before this video starts, just because I feel like I enjoyed them, but not enough to put them on this list. The first honourable mention is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I gave this a 3.75 this year, but unfortunately it just missed out on being on my top 10 list. Our second honourable mention is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Unfortunately, another one of Taylor's books caught my attention in 2019 and made this list, but Evelyn Hugo was very close to getting on this list. Very close. The next honourable mention is Ink by Alice Broadway. Although I really did enjoy this one, it again just missed out on being a top 10 favourite. And the final honourable mention that we have that was on this list until about 5 seconds ago, until I saw my bookshelves again, and that was What I Lost by Alexandra Ballard. I really liked this book, and again it was on this list until about 5 seconds ago, but unfortunately I had to take it off because there are other books that I liked more, but I did still enjoy this a lot, like a lot. So with honourable mentions out of the way, we're going to get straight into my top 10 by first mentioning number 10. At number 10 on my top 10 list is The Devourer by Christine Lynn Herman, which I read for the second round of the Simsathon. But I gave this a 4 stars, and I think a lot of people are expecting this to be higher up on my list because I enjoyed it so much, but I still did give this a 4 stars. All the rest of the books on this list are either a 4.5 or a 5. Like, I had a really good reading year. This is about Four Paths, which is a very eerie and creepy town. If you want really good atmosphere, Christine Lynn Herman does it flawlessly, I'm going to be completely honest. That is one of the big reasons why I love this book. Another reason why I absolutely loved this book was because of the characters. It follows the founding children of Four Paths trying to figure out their magical powers, if they have them, if they don't, and also the beast in the forest called the Grey that is killing people and turning them insane. I always give this book a really bad description compared to the one that it deserves, but I really did enjoy this, and it is at number 10, which doesn't mean that it's bad. This is the top 10% of my reads this year, and number 10 is not a bad position to be in, let's just say that. At number 9 on my top 10 books of the year list is Autobiography by Christine Lauren. This author duo makes such good YA fiction and also adult fiction as well. I absolutely loved Autobiography. It was one of the first Christine Lauren books that I read in Zodiacathon, and I am so excited that it has hit number 9 on this list. It's basically about 2 teens. One is called Tanner, who comes from a Mormon background, but his parents don't follow Mormon traditions anymore. Although the town that they still live in is quite parochial and does follow Mormon traditions, and he goes to a Mormon school, which means he's constantly surrounded by Mormons, and his like closeted but not closeted bisexualness because he is out to his parents because his parents aren't Mormon anymore. I love the fact that Tanner was bisexual in this, and one of the reasons why I gave it such high rating was because I related to the story like so much. It was honestly like seeing a mirror in front of me instead of the pages. But Tanner's story is so special to me just because he meets Seb, who is a Mormon. He's very straight and secure in his sexuality, and basically Tanner has to do like extra credit for a class or some shit by writing a whole novel. Is that a thing? I'm not sure. But Seb comes on to help them in this course because Seb has been in this course before and he's had a book published because of it. So Seb is helping them, you know, write a book because he's got experience. Tanner, of course, falls for this forbidden fruit, and it's just a really nice love story and story about self-discovery as well, in Seb and Tanner's point of view. I will say that there is a lot of trigger warnings in this, obviously for biphobia, homophobia, being closeted, but also Sebastian, Seb, is really abusive to Tanner because of his internalized homophobia and his internalized biphobia as well. So just be wary of that. But I really enjoyed this. I think the rep was phenomenal. I think the story was great. I think the whole premise of the autobiography was fucking great. And I cannot wait to reread this in the new year, which is why it is at number 9. My 8th book on this list may come as a little bit of a surprise to you all, and that is The Toll by Neil Shusterman. When I said this to my sister, she was like, The Toll, are you serious? Number 8, isn't that going to be higher than that? No. So basically The Toll is the third and final installment of one of my favourite trilogies in the entire world, Arc of a Scythe, and it consists of Scythe, Thunderhead, and now The Toll. So obviously I can't tell you the plot of The Toll without spoiling the rest of the series, so I will tell you what the entire series is about. So the Arc of a Scythe series follows a society that is not much further from ours in the future, where we have passed the age of mortality and we have basically conquered death. Death is no longer a thing, we are immortal and we live forever. The population of the earth gets a little bit overwhelming. Scythes are ordained and basically they are really authoritative beings with no actual supernatural power. They just get to glean people with a ring and grant immunity to their loved ones, and however they glean people is totally up to them. I absolutely loved the first book. I think Scythe is one of my favourite books of 2017. I think it was number 1 in 2017. And it is kind of a shame that The Toll is so far down on my list. I also gave The Toll a 4 stars, like the rest of the books so far on this list, because I've really enjoyed it. I did, again, 8 is not a bad rating on this list, considering that all of these books are the top 10% of my reads this year. One of the major reasons why this book isn't further up on my list is because of the ending. Although I did like it in some kind of way, I didn't really expect it to go that way, and it isn't the ending I personally would have picked for the story. I feel like we didn't get that much payoff and they were sent literally somewhere that we can't access them anymore, and it was kind of like a pussy way out to the ending. I would have rather some people stay and fight rather than drift off somewhere else. That is so vague, and if you've read it you'll know what I mean, but for me personally the ending really did deduct it a star and probably a little bit more, but I'm trying to hold on to the fact that I love this trilogy so much. Things I did actually like about it and why it was on this list to begin with was because of Rowan. I absolutely love him so much. A lot of you know that he's one of my booktube boyfriends. I absolutely love him so much, and also just all the other characters as well, the reuniting of character, the aftermath of what happened at the end of Thunderhead, and just all of that stuff I absolutely loved. The actual story as well I really liked. I loved The Toll and I loved his storyline as well. I loved how it still had the, you know, undertones of morally grey characters in there as well. It never loses sight of that, and I really do appreciate that. But I do think that Neil Shusterman did contradict himself quite a lot, and also certain characters get out of death way too often. By the time that this person was set to death and I knew that it was time to like be sad about it, I was like, oh, nothing's gonna happen because he just gets out of it all the time, and he did get out of it, I was right. But that stopped and numbed my reactions for certain plot points in this book, and I feel like because he just used it so many times, it was kind of getting old. I'm gonna be honest, this should probably have like a 3-something star, but I just love the characters way too much and I could not do that to them. The 7th book on my top 10 books of 2019 is Pulp by Robin Talley. Now this is one of my best friend's favourite books. She recommended this to me last year and I didn't get a chance to pick it up until this year, and it was fucking amazing. So this book is very interesting structurally. This book is part historical fiction, which is why it shocked me that I liked it so much, because I normally don't really like historical fiction that much. But this book tells an LGBTQ+ story of 2 women loving each other in 2 different timelines. So one happens in the 1950s, where the social justice movement of both the civil rights and gay and feminism, they haven't happened. So 2 women are trying to have a love affair in secret. Then it also shows a love story between 2 women in the like modern age, in everyday like 2019 kind of thing, and they are totally out and proud and actually have just broken up. The juxtaposition between the 2 timelines was absolutely phenomenal. I really liked that aspect. I feel like it was really interesting to see how it differed between timelines, what we have like came from, what we have progressed from, and what we have to kind of like reflect on in terms of people who are queer, who are LGBT+ and equality. The modern day chapters follow a girl called Abby who is going through lesbian pulp fiction, hence the title of the book, and she is reading from the perspective of the women in point of view 1, the 1950s point of view. So it's really interesting to see how those 2 cross over as well in their struggles. And also I didn't know what pulp fiction was. I didn't even know what lesbian pulp fiction was, so it really educated me in that respect as well. Because of the time that it is set in the 1950s, although I don't endorse this and I probably would have written it differently if it was me, there is a lot of homophobic and racist language, so do please be careful of that when going into this and be prepared, because it is set in the 50s, and again, I don't endorse it by Robin Talley. I think it was a really bad move to include some of these slurs, and it wouldn't have made or broke the book having them in there. I do think they could have been left out, but just be wary of that before going in. It was supposed to be set in the 1950s, although it's debatable whether these slurs were really needed. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was a really good part historical fiction, part contemporary, and yeah, I really just enjoyed it. It was a great read. So the 6th book on my list, and now we're coming into the higher ratings. So I gave this book a 4.5, and that is Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro and Cornelia Funke. This came out this year in July, and I read it as soon as I bought it. Like, I've never spent more on a book in my entire life. It's basically a novel of a movie that was a book to begin with, but the book at first flopped. It honestly flopped, and then the rights were bought from Guillermo del Toro to be turned into a movie, and it was a bestseller and a cult classic basically in the magical realism world. So yeah, it is a magical realism tale about a little girl called Ophelia whose father unfortunately dies, and her mother gets involved with the captain who is supposed to like mimic Franco in Franco's Spain. And so Ophelia and her mother, her pregnant mother, go and move to be with the captain and all of his dictatorship during the Civil War, and Ophelia finds herself escaping in literature and fairy tales and fantasy instead of dealing with the harsh realities of what her stepfather is doing and kind of what her mother's going through in having his son and his baby in general. She believes that she is the princess of the king of the underworld, and that if she fulfills 3 tasks, she will prove to the mystical faun, El Forno, that she is no longer human, she's not mortal, she has morals, and that she can return to her rightful place in her kingdom in the underworld with her father, her rightful father. This is one of my favourite stories of all time. I absolutely love this world. I studied Pan's Labyrinth, the movie, directed by Del Toro, in film, and I fell in love with it so much. The one thing I will say, although I really did enjoy it and it gave me so much nostalgia for the movie and how much I loved it the first time, the movie was originally in Spanish and this is like translated into English. So some of the words and the spellings and stuff don't really make sense, but there are some translation errors and some lines that are changed from the movie. So if you're looking for specific lines, they might not be in here because they have been changed, which I found really like disheartening, but it is the way it is and it's fine. There actually were added points of the story. So we got a little bit of backstory between the pale man and the faun. There's a story in here about the faun falling in love with somebody and more about how he came to be, and I love those little assets and it just made me love the world a lot more, hence why it is number 6th on my list of books I enjoyed this year and gained a 4.5. Coming into the top 5 now, at number 5, again with a 4.5 rating, is Birthday by Meredith Russo. I read this recently in 24 hours, all in one day, and I vlogged it, so if you would like to go and see that vlog, I will link it down below. But this has gained number 5 on my list, and I only read it within December. I absolutely loved it so much. If you don't know what Birthday is about, it's basically about 2 teens, one called Eric who is on his way to getting a football scholarship. We also have Morgan who is a trans female, so male to female, and she really wants to come out and be her authentic true self, but there are so many things in the way that are stopping her. Rejection, fear, bullying, everything of the above. She already gets called gay, and you know there's a lot of F slurs in here, so do be careful about that as well. She already gets called for people thinking that she's gay, but she's not, she's trans, and God forbid they ever find out that she's trans and not actually gay. This follows them from their 13th to their 18th birthday, so we see the rise and fall of their friendship and also them as people and Morgan's kind of like journey through transitioning and becoming her authentic self. I loved this so much. I didn't really find any flaws apart from the continuity errors that kind of popped up here and there, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll leave you to go and see my reading vlog of it to see more of my thoughts. But I was just so in love with this. I love the characters. Eric is such a soft bean, such a soft boy, and I think everyone could learn a little bit from him and the way that he deals with Morgan telling him and coming out. He's just so soft and I love him so much. At number 4 is a book that is probably on a lot of other booktubers' lists, and this is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave Daisy Jones and the Six a 4.75, and just before you start adding it to your Goodreads or your TBR cart or your cart on Amazon, whatever, there are loads of triggering subjects going into this. So there's loads about drug abuse, there's loads about cheating and pregnancy, and just kind of like toxic and unhealthy relationships shits with both people and substances in general. One of the main reasons why I love this book so much is because I didn't expect to like it, and I just had zero expectations for it at all. I went into it completely blind and I fell in love with it and the characters and the plot. So if you don't know what Daisy Jones and the Six is about, it's about Daisy Jones, who is trying to make it as a superstar, and she's got a few records out but it doesn't really seem to be going anywhere. Same for the Six, who are missing something in their band, and so they join forces together via their mutual manager to create this mega band called Daisy Jones and the Six in the 80s/70s. And this is basically just a book told in interview format, so there's no actual like bulk of text. It is all just interview format where they explain the rise and the fall of the band. I just cried throughout all of this. It was so fucking good. Another big reason why I enjoyed this is because I feel like I related to Daisy's self-destructive behaviours quite a lot. Falling for the wrong people at the wrong time, needing an escape, etc. I just felt all of that in my soul, and that is probably why it is number 4 on this list, because I just loved Daisy so much. The third book on my top 10 list this year is City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. Listen, I just cried throughout the entirety of this book. It is absolutely unbelievable. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because I just felt loads of nostalgia while reading it, and I fell in love with the series in general and the Shadowhunters in general. I'll talk about more about this later in the list, but I just fell in love with the Shadowhunters even more this year, and I haven't looked back since. Obviously, I can't again tell you what City of Heavenly Fire is about because it will spoil the entire Mortal Instrument series for you. But the first book, City of Bones, and the overarching themes within the story, this like superhuman force of people called Shadowhunters who kind of like hunt down demons and stop mundanes, aka normal humans, from being harmed or hurt by them. There are also loads more fantastical creatures in this world, such as fairies who cannot lie, vampires who obviously suck blood, werewolves who are quite angry to begin with, and also warlocks who are half demon, half Shadowhunter, I believe, and they basically have magical powers and are different from the rest of the species. They are so fucking cool! So this book is the final one in that little series, and I love this so much. I bawled my eyes out. I was just a whirlwind of emotions, and I love it so much. They all tie together so well, and it's just my favourite series ever. My second favourite book of the year has to be The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. I always fuck up her name, I'm so sorry. I gave The Kingdom a 5 out of 5 stars. If you don't know what it's about, it is basically about a world called The Kingdom, which is like a utopia but also a dystopia because it's so like happy and positive filled that it's fake, and everything about it is just so miserable from the inside. But from the outside looking in, you would think it was so magical. On the back it says, "Welcome to the Kingdom, a dazzling fantasy theme park where happily ever after is not just a promise but a rule." We follow 7 beautiful women called fantasists who are half android, half human princesses and are literally coded and programmed to make people's dreams come true. No matter what they are, they have to make them come true. But things go a little bit wrong when a fantasist called Anna meets Owen, and she doesn't really want to be a fantasist anymore. Her coding goes wrong and she starts to feel emotions. We follow Anna on her trial after she kills Owen, and it is just the most gripping, heart-wrenching book you have ever fucking read. It reminded me of Blade Runner and everything good that I liked about Blade Runner, about what it means to be human. But yeah, The Kingdom is my second favourite book of the year because of all those reasons. I couldn't pick any fault with it. I think the story was executed fabulously because you have flashbacks and flash forwards, and it was just amazing, and not enough people are talking about it. So everyone should read The Kingdom and enjoy it and embrace it because it was fucking fabulous and I loved it. Now, the moment you have all been waiting for, my number 1 book of the year is actually 2 books. Cassandra Clare has already came up once before in this video, and now she's about to come up not once again but twice. My one favourite book of this year has to be Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. This is actually the 10th anniversary edition that I bought from Waterstones the other day. I think it was yesterday, because I had to have it. It's so gorgeous and has these little prints of everybody in there, the tarot card prints, and I can't get over how fucking beautiful Will is. This year was my first ever year of reading the Shadowhunter books, and I absolutely loved all of them, but Clockwork Angel is one that really stuck out to me. However, in saying that, I don't really think it's fair to mention how much I loved Clockwork Angel without mentioning how much I love Clockwork Princess, also by Cassandra Clare in the same trilogy. So this is the first book in the trilogy, this is the last one, and I don't think it would be fair to mention my love of one of them without mentioning the other one as well, because I did love them about the same. I both gave them the 5 stars, but Clockwork Angel did stand out to me because I love loved Will, and this is the first time we meet Will, and he is one of my bookish boyfriends again, like Rowan is. But again, it wouldn't be fair to mention one without the other. So officially, my favourite series, if you will, my favourite book of 2019 has been The Infernal Devices. I've been absolutely hooked on them all year, talking about nothing but The Infernal Devices and Shadowhunters. I've absolutely loved every single second, and I cannot wait to reread them because I love these books so much. These characters are everything. Will, Jem, Tessa, Charlotte, Henry. I love them all so much, and I cannot wait until Chain of Gold. I love them genuinely so much. Let me know any of your favourites of 2019 down below, what you're currently reading or what your reading plans are for 2020, and I will see you next time for a brand new video, probably for my 2019 wrap up or my The Fault in Our Stars review. Thank you so much for watching, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!